The convention, one of my favourite parts of the furry fandom. And why not? It's a great place to chill out, suit up, and even learn new things. But with so much going on at the con, and to prepare for long even before you get there, it can be a stressful experience too, regardless of if it's your first con or your 50th. Hello, I'm Shadow Raccoon, and whether you're a seasoned con goer or it's your first time setting foot in this part of the furry fandom, here is my furry convention survival guide. So you've just booked your furry con, sorted out your accommodations. Now, where do you begin to start preparing from here? Besides obviously booking vacation time off work and trying to figure out what lie you're going to come up with to tell your office. I normally say I'm going to a gaming con. That tends to work quite well. Working out travel to and from the con is probably the best place to begin. Maybe you have a car so you can just drive there. Perhaps even the con is in your hometown. Lucky you. In which case, I guess this section probably won't be that relevant to you. However, for many furs, travelling to a con can include multiple forms of transport and get expensive, be tiresome, or even a nuisance. Booking your tickets as early as possible and knowing the best times to book travel can really help here. If your con involves you needing to fly, why not try sites like Kayak or Google Flights? Use them to monitor prices, get trends, and to get notification of when is best to book. It can be a great way to pick up a bargain and not miss out on best fare. Also, see if the con is running any special discounts themselves. Furry Equinox, for example, has a code where you can get 20% off Air Canada flights for all attendees. That's really generous. If you're a UK fur, or even a fur from abroad coming to the UK and you're going to take the train and use the UK rail networks, check out things like split ticketing and rail cards. You can really save some serious amounts of money by doing those. And of course, it goes without saying that timing can be really important, and of course look out for sales promos and advanced train tickets to save even more. So with travel and time off for the con sorted, it's time to do a bit of research about the con itself, and to know a bit more about what to expect. Knowing what food options are going to be available at and around the convention is very helpful. What will be on offer at the con itself? Does the hotel include breakfast? Will there be food stalls or food trucks during the con? Or even a discount on meals at the hotel's restaurant? Many of this info is often shared on the convention's own website, the hotel's pages, or even in the Telegram chat groups associated with the con itself. Or hey, if you really can't find any of it, why not try asking a few people who went to the con last year? Beyond the con, check to see if there are any nearby restaurants or fast food places to eat at that you like the look of. It can be great to escape the con for a short while and relax with a nice meal with a few friends, some whom you might never ever get the chance to have a meal with outside of conventions. It could be a good call too, closer to the actual time of the convention, to just make a table reservation there. Because let's face it, no restaurant is going to be happy if 15 hungry furries turn up at 8 PM on a Saturday night without warning. Whilst there are many things I think are worth considering beyond this in the time that leads up to your convention, I'm going to keep this section short because it has run a little bit too long already. So just a few things here. If you're a fursuiter, clean your suit well in advance. Make any necessary repairs, big or small. Let's face it, that tiny little hole underneath your arm could easily become so much worse. And do keep an eye on the weather, just so you have an idea of what non-fursuit based clothing you may need. So it's your 24-hour warning. Shit's getting real, people. Importantly, this is a time where you don't want to panic, but my experience, I generally do. I've spoken to a few people in the past who, at this stage, do get very nervous, and that's understandable. To be honest with you, it's quite normal. If you find yourself feeling this way, just try to focus on why you were so excited to book the con originally, and about all the awesome things you're going to be doing there. Now might be a good time as well to have another look over the convention's schedule. Many furry conventions use something called Sketch to share what events are happening, and I must say, it's one of the best systems going. I'm a big fan of it. Creating an account on Sketch itself can actually allow you to save the things from their schedule that you're most interested in. And, it takes something that can be quite overwhelming, a massive list of 100 events, and just turn it into something nice, like 10 or so, that you're really interested in. It's also got a fantastic mobile app, which is well worth installing as well if you're at a convention that's using Sketch. Planning for the dealer's den can be advantageous as well. Know what time you'll be allowed into the dealer's den. Some cons give early access to sponsors and high-tier registrations, so consider this, if there's an artist or something in the dealer's den that you're really set on buying. Bring cash too. In our modern society, where you can now buy everything online or with your smartphone, it can be very easy to just forget that in some places cash really is king. And whether it's for an artist just straight up not wanting to deal with the hassle of card payments, or to bad phone signal in the dealer's den blocking all the card readers from working properly, something I've seen quite a few times because of the amount of people in the den, it can be very handy to have physical money as well. So do make a trip to an ATM before heading to the con to avoid a disappointment. Now, note by the way that I said before the con. Whilst many hotels do have ATMs available, consider these more as kind of a last resort emergency option, because often they'll charge very high fees for cash withdrawals, and on top of this, they can often run out of money really fast too, so not really a reliable option as well. And finally, on the dealer's den, do check the map before heading in, get to know where people are, something you could probably do while queuing actually for it. And consider, going in and heading right to the back corners first instead of the front, because these areas are just, as you'd expect, less crowded at the start. Unless, of course, everyone then follows this advice that I'm giving now, in which case, don't. Still, if you haven't started packing already, now is probably a good time to do so as well. Writing a list or similar can help keep track of stuff, especially for fursuiters. Pack carefully, bag any liquids up, and of course be sure to pack extra medication if you can. It's always good to travel with spares. Never underestimate as well the amount of spare clothes to pack. It can be nice to have fresh clothes still on the last day of conventions and just this nirvana feeling of just putting on a clean t-shirt. And please, 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 also for the sake of everyone at a convention, pack some shower gel and deodorant. Don't rely on the hotel to supply these things to you. And if you're a fursuiter, be sure to make sure you pack some fursuit spray as well. Yes, you can probably rely on the dealer's den to have at least 1 or 2 different homemade ones on sale there, but why risk it? And also, everyone, just remember to pack some savoury and sweet snacks and some bottles of water too. Sure, you can pack some bottles of Grey Goose to, take to those parties you're planning to go to or have, but it's always super handy to have a supply of crisps or chips, cakes, cookies, and so on. Cup noodles are fantastic to have with you as a quick snack. They travel really well, and if your hotel room's got a kettle or even a microwave, you can actually quickly prepare them as well. Also, don't rely on having time at the con to pop to the supermarket. Time can be quite tight, but I will say, have a look, and if you can, it can be an absolute lifesaver to pop to one. I remember when I was back at Midwest Fur Fest, we grabbed an Uber and went out to a Walmart. We got so many goodies, and really useful actually. Fruit, which doesn't travel well, but good to get later on. Bananas, for example, are great for fursuiters. Right, you're packed, you got your tickets, and you're ready to go. Finally, just do one last check that you got your passport and government ID, because you're going to need that to register for the con, and if you forget it, you're going to be in for a bad time. Okay, you're checked in, bags are dumped, and it's all happening. First, take a deep breath. You're here. If you're feeling anxious or nervous from everything around you and it's all feeling a bit overwhelming, start slow. Don't be afraid. Just go sit in a quiet corner somewhere, drawing, writing, or playing something like a Nintendo Switch. And remember, it can be easy to feel scared, apprehensive, or nervous, whether you're a first-timer or a regular on the first day especially. However, generally speaking, as you switch off and slide into con mode, you'll be feeling right at home really quickly. Your schedule might look a bit crazy at this point, especially if there's a lot to do and see, and there's lots of panels and that, and you might be starting to realise that there's just too many things to do. If that happens to you, it happens to me every year. Don't feel bad about it. You can't always attend every panel or event, and it's just natural to want to see and do everything. But sometimes you'll just find panels clash, other things get arranged, or you just need a long sit down or some quiet time in your room. Also, never discount just not doing anything for a few hours and meeting some people or hanging out with friends. Some of the best people I know and became friends with started on my downtime at conventions, so I can't stress this point to you enough. And something that you should try to do, and I feel that I need to make sure I do, and is my 2020 goal, is just take more photos. Photos of conventions are the best memories you're going to have of what you saw, you experienced, and what you felt. And for me, nothing cheers me up more than looking back at some of the photos I got from the conventions in the past, and it's something I just wish I had more of. I've got other people's photos, but it's just not the same as your own memories. Also, do get a chance, if you can, get a chance to check out the hotel's pool and spa facilities if they have them. A swimming pool for the furries can be a crazy place sometimes, but also quite relaxing too. For me, personally, it's a great way to start the day and the convention, so you'll often spot me chilling out there at least once during the entire time of the convention. And finally, don't be afraid to spend some time in your hotel room. It can be nice to just have a bit of space, even for an hour, and the quietness of the hotel room can often just help you recharge. Self-care at a fur convention is very important, both physically and mentally. Conventions can be a demanding place, and it's important to look after yourself. Obvious things, goes without saying, is that you should take at least one shower a day, probably more if you're a fursuiter, and some people find themselves taking 2, 3, or 4. It really helps you feel less zombie. Also, conventions will stress this, and I'm going to say it as well, eat at least 2 meals a day. For me, that's usually a massive breakfast, taking advantage of the free hotel-provided breakfast, and some sort of dinner, usually from one of the stalls at the con itself, or a nearby food place if I've made plans. During the day, though, I tend to rely on snacks and things to kind of keep myself going, and this often ties in nice with just having an hour of peace and downtime in my hotel room, so I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. Fursuiters as well, it goes without saying, and you've probably been told this loads of times, but it can be all too easy to accidentally fursuit for too long, so be sure to take regular breaks in the fursuit lounge, drink lots of water, and know the signs of heat stroke and heat exhaustion. Convention just for the weekend produced this fantastic chart to help you identify the signs of these problems. In fact, I've actually seen this sign used at other conventions because it's that good. So, check a link in the description out if you want to see the full version of it. It's really worth having a look at. And finally, lastly on well-being, I'd just like to touch on something that many people inevitably experience at some point in their convention life, and that is con crud. When furries mix with lots of other people from here, there, and everywhere, it's usually inevitable that some germs and bugs will probably mix too. Not to say that you'll ever get it, fingers crossed you won't. It's similar to Freshers flu, which is something I remember from when I started back at uni many years ago. There are, of course, things you can do to reduce the risk of getting ill at your time at a convention, so maybe things like carrying hand sanitizer, washing your hands regularly, and then there's also something which is probably more of a placebo, or I don't know, maybe it does genuine work. It's called Vicks First Defense. It's this brilliant little spray that you can take just if you think you get the cold, or if you're around people with cold symptoms, and it says it stops the symptoms before they take hold, and it could just be a sales pitch, but for me personally, I've taken it before I went to Japan, I took it before I went to Confuzzled last year, and it just makes me feel confident that I'm not going to get anything, and in the end, isn't that what we all need? So, if you can have access to something, and it's something like this is sold in your country, wherever you are, do give it a try. It's well worth a shot, isn't it? Sadly, though, the con will eventually come to an end. Probably a lot quicker than you imagine, too. This could be quite an emotional experience for many of us, and understandable. It can be very hard to kind of wave goodbye to friends and this furry bubble that you've been living in for the past 5 days and then just switch back to the real world. I mean, you know, you could have a late stay at the convention, which does sort of alleviate it a little bit, but, you know, you're just delaying the inevitable in the end, and it will, you know, you get one last hurrah, but it will end. You know, post-con depression can be a difficult beast to handle, and it hits, you know, many people in different ways and at different times even. Some people might not even experience it at all, and sometimes you just don't, but you know, I could make a whole video on this topic alone, so just going to keep it short. I'll simply say use your time post-con and stay positive. So look at and share photos of your awesome time, catch up with new friends, old ones, recount stories from the convention, make considerations about maybe volunteering or helping out with the event next year, getting more involved, or just go ahead and book your next convention. That tends to work quite well for me, actually. You know, and just start this process all over again. Also, don't discount the physical tiredness you may experience post-con, so factor in having some time to yourself after. Your feet ache, your body will feel like it's hit the cement truck, and your voice might end up sounding a bit like Marge Simpson, which generally happens to me after 5 days at a convention. So I always, if you can, try to book a little extra time off work to recover post-con. It's certainly something you won't regret. And I just always go back to the one story of the time that I scheduled a job interview for the day after Confessal Day, ached all over, had no voice at all. It was quite entertaining, but I did get the job, and I'm still working there, so, you know, all ends well. Still, there we go. That is your survival guide to a furry convention. What tips do you have and want to share? Are there any topics on this sort of thing that you'd like me to discuss more detail? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, or consider supporting me on Patreon. I've also got my own range of merchandise. There's a link in the description below. Please go check it out. There's some really lovely t-shirt designs as well. I'm Lew The Raccoon, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone!